From Yankee Stadium in New York, Root Sports brings you Houston Astros baseball. Tonight, the Astros open a 6-game road trip. It's the first of a 3-game series against the New York Yankees. Good evening, everybody. Bill Brown and Jeff Blum. Julia Morales joins us in just a few minutes. Alan Ashby gets some time off. And the Astros, after one of the most exciting homestands in memory, 7-3, come on the road again, Jeff.
It's unbelievable. That was a lot of fun to watch. 4 walk-offs, a no-no in that homestand. You like to see some of that magic get on that plane and make its way to here to New York.
It's been puzzling, the difference between this team at home and on the road. In fact, since May 27th, the Astros had the best record in the majors at home and the worst on the road.
Yeah, it's amazing trying to think about that, trying to explain it. We know it's a lot easier for these Astros to hit all their home runs at home. They have a good slugging percentage at home that we talked about earlier, but the pitching has been fantastic. The pitching on the road for me has kept them in the game, but just that timely hitting. And I wonder if a little bit of it, knowing at home you have that last AB of the game, kind of keeps them in the game a little bit, knowing they have to strike early on the road.
Certainly might. Well, Scott Feldman has done his part on the road this season for the Astros. He has excellent numbers away from Minute Maid Park.
Well, I think the numbers that are interesting, obviously, are those 11 games on the road with that 4-3 mark. With his last 5 starts, that's since coming off the DL. He knew his spot might have been in jeopardy when he came off the DL, but he's been coming back strong. Took care of that left knee. The arm and the velocity are a lot better. But the pitch for me that's been really good for Scott Feldman has been that cut fastball. Hitters hitting .234 against that cut fastball. And what a spot for him to start here on the road with that good record.
His mound opponent will be hard-throwing Nate Eovaldi. Coming up, New York Groove. Jason Castro and company hit the big city in hopes of turning Minute Maid Magic into a road groove against the Bronx Bombers. Julia joins us with more on the Astros' New York state of mind when we return.
Off here in just a couple of moments, getting ready for game 1 of this 3-game set here at Yankee Stadium. And the Astros, like all of their fans, almost sad to see this recent homestand come to an end, filled with magic. 4 walk-off wins for the Houston Astros, and then you throw in the no-hitter by Mike Fiers. The guy's talking about that earlier. This team is feeling really good about the way they played over that 10-day period. They went 7-3 on that homestand, and you have to go back. Let's look at some of these highlights highlights. Jake Marisnick kind of coming out a little bit from his slump at the plate, looking to go with a triple there on August 18th. This is against the Tigers, and Jose Altuve driving him in with the walk-off single there, and of course the celebration. Correa needs to be careful there, doesn't he? Get going August 19th. This is against the Rays. Marlon Gonzalez, who's been huge for this team, is the walk-off hero with his first career walk-off home run. And Carlos Correa, who struggled a little bit on the homestand offensively, came up with some big hits despite the struggles, including another walk-off win against the Rays. And then yesterday, the Astros going for a sweep over the LA Dodgers, a very, very good team. Jason Castro comes up with his second walk-off home run just over the Crawford, just over and into the Crawford boxes to give the Astros the win and, of course, the sweep over the Dodgers. So a confident club as they head into this road trip, starting off with another tough team in the New York Yankees. But A.J. Hinch asked about his club, and he said we've never had a confidence problem whatsoever all year. We knew we could beat any team that we faced as long as we came with our best. And Blummer, I toss this up to you. What kind of momentum can they carry from that homestand? And when you have so many magical moments like that, what can you take with you?
Well, the ego is going good right now. I know that for these guys. They're feeling really good about themselves. And I know AJ's got a pretty good handle on these guys, getting them going. But what a better place to come into after having such a magical homestand with those 4 walk-off wins, no hitter. Now they come up in here to New York City, where it's probably the biggest stage in baseball right now. They get to do it in front of a crowd like this. You want to impress these guys. I'm kind of anxious to see what a guy like Carlos Correa is going to do on a stage where probably a guy he watched growing up and Derek Jeter played for so long gets to play on that same stage. I know it's a pretty magical place for a lot of players, just knowing the history of who's played in a Yankee uniform on this stage. But what a better time, better place for these guys to come out and continue what they had going on at home.
Yawn, yawn, just another game.
Yep. Yeah, right. we're getting too close to that. All these games mean a whole lot right now.
Yes, they do. And the Yankees take the field, game 1 of a 3-game series. And we check the standings, and the Astros, of course, have built a nice lead. And you see the most days with at least a share of first place in 2015. The Cardinals have 133. The Astros at 113. The Yankees are at 98. So both these teams have set up shop for a good period of time, although the Yankees currently have dropped a half game behind Toronto. And Toronto's the team many people expect to take this division, Blummer.
Yeah, I think they've got the firepower, the trades they made at that deadline to bring in a guy like David Price to provide the pitching, give that bullpen a little bit of a break. We saw some good bullpen numbers out of them when they played against the Astros, but being able to back them up and extend them a little bit deeper into the season is going to be good. But who in the world right now wants to face that Toronto Blue Jays lineup with the thump they have?
The Astros starting lineup is brought to you by Southwest Airlines. Jose Altuve leads it off at second base. It's Marlon Gonzalez in left field tonight. Carlos Correa plays shortstop. The cleanup man is right fielder Colby Rasmus, with Carlos Gomez in center field. Evan Gattis the DH. Luis Valbuena at third base. Chris Carter at first, and Hank Conger doing the catching for Scott Feldman.
On the mound for the New York Yankees, Nathan Eovaldi. Going to take a look at his numbers on the season. 13-2. Good record. Good enough to put him in first in the majors in winning percentage at .867. But in his last 11 starts, going 8-0 with a 3.29, and we talked about the velocity from this kid. He throws extremely hard. According to Fangraphs Pitch Effects, he's averaging 96.4 miles an hour this season, the highest velocity in the major leagues. The defense out here at Yankee Stadium behind Eovaldi, Brett Gardner, Jacoby Ellsbury, I apologize, Carlos Beltran out there in right. On the left, Chase Headley at third, Didi Gregorius at short, Stephen Drew at second base, Greg Bird at first, and Brian McCann doing the catching.
You saw Eovaldi's great low ERA against the Astros for 2 career starts. He beat them in Houston 3-2 back on June 26th. 6 innings, 5 hits, 2 runs. Now here's Altuve getting it started. He's third in the league in hits with 149. And Eovaldi drops a breaking ball on him. Strike one on a 3-10 hitting Altuve, the 7th best batting average in the league. 10 homers, 51 runs batted in. The fastball is electric from Eovaldi. He also has a devastating split-fingered pitch. And he's out in front 0-2, and typically he will just throw hard with those changes of speeds tossed in for at least 5 innings, but he can do a quick fade also, Blummer.
No, he's got good stuff. Talked about that good fastball. He's got that slider, split finger to go along with it. Break in the occasional breaking ball like you saw at first pitch of this AB.
Altuve's down on strikes. Strikeout number 101 for Eovaldi this season in inning number 137. For the right-hander, born in Houston, grew up in Alvin, went to Alvin High School. He met Nolan Ryan back in June. He was drafted by the Dodgers in the 11th round in 08. They traded him to Miami, and then the Yankees got him in another deal involving several players after last season. Last year he was 6-14 with Miami. Marwin Gonzalez steps up. That's in for a strike. Gabe Morales is the home plate umpire. 263 for Gonzalez, 8 homers, 28 runs batted in. On the homestand, he hit 296, driving in 6 runs, including that game-winning homer. And he also had the big game-tying RBI single with 2 outs in the 9th yesterday. Boy, was that a hit, as the Dodgers tried to lock it down after Clayton Kershaw made his exit. 8 innings, 1 run, and then Kenley Jansen had 2 outs and Carlos Correa on at second when Marwin drove in the tying run. The Astros winning it in the 10th on the Castro homer. Marwin still hurting after that foul ball.
You know what I'm impressed with the Astros? It's not all put on one guy. It is an absolute team-wide effort on who's going to hold it down and keep the team in it, and then who's going to step up and get that big hit.
Carlos Correa is on deck. You saw Colby Rasmus, who hopes to bat here in the first. Strikeout number 2 for Eovaldi.
Good hammer.
Last time out, he beat the Minnesota Twins 4-3 here 5 days ago. 7 innings, 3 earned runs allowed. Carlos Correa with 15 homers, 43 runs batted in, starts the night at 278. He was 2 for 11 in the Dodgers series, and he takes ball 1. He went 1 for 3 against Eovaldi, and that was an RBI single in Houston in late June. Those two teams split the 4-game series in Houston. Into right field for a 2-out single. Correa has done that any number of times, using all fields this year.
Yeah, it's just crazy to me how seasoned he is as a young kid. As we look at the strike zone, brought to you by MD Anderson, where this pitch is and where the pitch ends up. You're going to see a lot of young kids who get called up who have the kind of pop that Correa does. And yeah, Eovaldi's going to get in on you because he throws so hard, but still the fact that he's able to stay through it and get that knock going the other way.
On a 100-mile-per-hour pitch. He's aboard for Colby Rasmus. Colby 0 for 7 in the Dodgers series. 111 on the homestand. Right field is very inviting here at Yankee Stadium. That's in for strike 1. Colby's gone deep 17 times with 44 runs batted in and a .228 batting average. Eovaldi has surrendered 10 homers in 137 innings. It's a warm night here at Yankee Stadium. Foul ball makes it 0-2. Yankees, even though they have a good record at home, 36-24, have lost 6 of their last 10 here in the Bronx. Of the 10 homers Eovaldi has given up, 9 have been solo shots, and the other one a 2-run homer this year. Foul tip strikeout. Eovaldi strikes out the side. No runs, 1 hit, 1 man left. Scott Feldman is up in a moment. Up, and here's the lineup to be faced by Scott Feldman, shooting for win number 6 of the year. The Bronx Bombers go with Jacoby Ellsbury in center field, Brett Gardner in left field, Alex Rodriguez the DH, Brian McCann the catcher, Carlos Beltran in right field, Greg Bird at first base, Chase Headley at third base, Didi Gregorius the shortstop, Stephen Drew at second base.
Scott Feldman going for your Houston Astros. He's having himself a pretty good run of late. Last time out there went 7 strong, only gave up 9 hits and 2 earned runs. There you see it, making a 17th start. First innings are a big deal for Scott Feldman. ERA is at 6.19 in that first inning. If he can get through that, it should be a pretty good evening for Scott.
Well, since the All-Star break, his overall ERA is 2.87. And you might have noted that career record against the Yankees, 5-4 with a 3.45 ERA. He's 2-3 with a 3.81 here at Yankee Stadium. Ellsbury steps up. Valbuena on the grass at third. High for ball 1. Ellsbury at 279 has 6 homers, 27 runs batted in, a 341 on base average. 3-game hitting streak for Ellsbury. He had 2 hits yesterday. That's in the air and back in the seat. So 1 ball 1 strike count. The Yankees did not fare well in their previous series, losing 3 of 4 to Cleveland after sweeping the Minnesota Twins to open this homestand. Joe Girardi's club 4-3 on this homestand. Two and one, and Joe made the announcement today. CC Sabathia, yesterday's starting pitcher, is going on the disabled list with right knee inflammation. Some think he might be finished for the season, maybe even longer than that. 2 balls 2 strikes. There are reports that he really doesn't have much cartilage left in his right knee.
It's not a good thing, especially for a left-handed pitcher. That's his lead leg.
Grounded, and here's Altuve getting quickly in front of it and throwing to Carter. 1 out.
Chance. We're going to take a look at the defense here for the Houston Astros. Marwin Gonzalez out there in left field. Carlos Gomez in center. Colby Rasmussen right. Luis Valbuena back at third base. And Carlos Correa and Jose Altuve up the middle. Again, Chris Carter will be playing first base. And Hank Conger working with Scott Feldman this evening here in the Bronx.
Jason Castro caught all 3 games over the weekend. Here's Brett Gardner, and it's his birthday today. Gardner turning 32, 278, 12 homers, 54 runs batted in. That's in for strike 1 for Feldman. Gardner with a 365 on base average, has good speed, 18 steals, ranks him 7th in the American League. These top 2 guys can really run well, Ellsbury and Gardner. It's 1 ball 1 strike. Happy birthday sign for Gardner. He had a big series in Houston with 6 hits in 13 at bats. It's 2 balls and a strike. Boy, the Astros' run of starting pitching has been magnificent. During that 7-3 homestand, the starters logged an ERA of 2.13, best in the majors for those 10 games. Center fielder, and not needed because here's Carlos Correa out into left center field. Gomez sprinted in for it, but it's out number 2. Pretty expansive outfield to cover in this ballpark, Blummer.
Yeah, up the middle, those gaps are going to be quite large. Get a chance to look at Scott Feldman's numbers month by month, and that's the direction you definitely want to see those things going. Yeah, Browning from the gaps to the lines. You have a chance to shoot it out of here, but those gaps to center field, you find a gap out there, you can be running for a while. Maybe Evan Gattis, another triple or 2.
Alex Rodriguez comes up. 26 homers, 69 runs batted in, and a 261 average. He has sat out the last couple of games. Rodriguez takes ball 1. He is 5 for 16 with 2 homers off Feldman. He actually pinch hit yesterday, but has not started the last couple. Just has 5 hits in his last 41 at bats, and it's 1-1. 680 career homers, 2,038 runs batted in, and now he has more than 3,000 hits. Yankees are going to honor him soon for that achievement. It's 2 balls and a strike to A-Rod. Steve Sparks, Astros radio analyst, snapped a nice photo around the batting cage of A-Rod and Carlos Correa. Bounce wide of third. 2 balls, 2 strikes.
A lot of similarities between a young Carlos Correa and a young Alex Rodriguez. Size, both about 6'4", 6'5", 220, good length, good range, good pop. All the tools are there.
Alex is now 40. His first year with Seattle was 94. He had just 54 at bats that year. Line and caught by Altuve for a 1-2-3 first. It's scoreless after 1.
Hinch talking about the Astros' resiliency, especially coming off that homestand out there and all these walk-off wins. It feels great to complete games, to play resilient baseball, to get to the finish line of every night feeling like you've maximized your 27 outs. You did everything you could to win that night's game, and they definitely did that. I mean, they were playing close games, guys. We talked about the walk-off wins and all the magic, but they were in all of those games, and they have been even on the road trip when they struggled a little bit there. So AJ saying he's really liking the way that they've been playing for a long stretch, no matter road, home. They're very consistent is the word he likes to use. I don't know what you guys think, but I definitely agree with him. When you're in this clubhouse every day, you get that consistent vibe with this team. Nothing ever really changes.
Very good vibe. Carlos Gomez swings at a fastball. There's strike 1 opening the 2nd inning. Gomez was thrown out trying to steal home yesterday. 188, 1 homer, 4 runs batted in. A bold attempt to score the tying run. It's 1 ball, 1 strike. He has really tried hard to make an impact since putting on that Houston uniform. Has not returned to his previous top form. Little tap goes to shortstop. Didi Gregorius. 1 out. But he kind of gets a pass, Blummer, because the team has played so well, and the feeling is he'll get there. He'll hit his stride. It's just taking a while.
Hey, Will, and it's tough because you get traded to a team that's in first place. You're immediately inserted into center field where Jake Marisnick was playing extremely well. You put a lot of pressure on yourself. You want to come in and be the guy that that they think they traded for. Hasn't worked out. Tell you what, Mike Fiers took a lot of the pressure off him the other day.
That's strike 1 to Gaddis. The triples leader, as you mentioned, with 9 for the ball club. 19 homers, 63 runs batted in, a .236 average for Gaddis. He hit well against the Yankees in that series at home in June. Jammed on that one. And it's 0-2. And this guy, Nate Eovaldi, throwing 97 on that pitch. He has some serious heat.
And only 14 of those 16 pitches that he's thrown have been strikes.
Gaddis hit .229 on the homestand. That one's rammed into left field. Looked like a little cutter or slider that stayed up, and Gaddis knew what to do with that one.
Got to take advantage of those mistakes when you get them from a guy like Eovaldi. Yeah, just a little hanger up out over the plate.
He's aboard for Luis Valbuena. Valbuena leads the club in homers with 22. He's driven in 44 with a .209 batting average. This could be a very good stadium for him with his pull power. But Eovaldi's not going to try to give him a pitch to pull. There's strike one over the outside edge.
Yeah, if you're going to try and pull 98, you better get it ready early.
Eovaldi has been very strong in the early innings of his games. In the second inning, he's not given up a run. 76 batters faced, only 7 hits allowed. So he comes out of the gate pushing the century mark, and the hitters had better be ready to swing very quickly. On that 8-game winning streak, that's the longest in the American League this year. Eovaldi has put together. Still alive. Breaking pitch makes it 2-1. Eovaldi, when he was a Dodger, made his second career start in the majors against the Astros and Bud Norris in Los Angeles in August of 2011. 6 innings, 2 hits, no runs. A no decision. The Dodgers won it 1-0 in the 10th. Off the plate. Now 3-1 to Valbuena, who's walked 38 times. So the last 11 starts for Eovaldi, 8 wins, no losses, a 3.29 ERA. Longest winning streak of his career. Valbuena does pull that one into right field. Gaddis to second base. And it's back-to-back singles by Gaddis and Valbuena, bringing up Carter.
I was kind of curious about the pitch selection right there to Valbuena. Eovaldi throwing 98 plus miles an hour here, but you can see there's a little bit of a wrinkle, maybe even a changeup at 89 miles an hour allows Valbuena to get the head out and yank it through that hole.
Interesting.
Yeah, I mean, that's probably why I never pitched either, is because if I had 98 in the tank, I'm going to keep throwing it. I'm going to dare guys to hit it.
Well, that's not always a bad thing either.
Yep.
Chris Carter will be next. Carter at 183 has gone deep 17 times with 49 runs batted in for CC. He was 3 for 13 with an RBI on the last homestand. That's in for strike one. What a weekend for the Astros, sweeping the Los Angeles Dodgers in 3 games and winning games pitched by Zach Greinke and Clayton Kershaw back-to-back Saturday and Sunday. After no hitting the Dodgers with Mike Fiers Friday night, they didn't really need an airplane to get here.
He came in on that magic carpet.
Yeah. It's 0-2, so their home record is now 45-21. That is now the best in the American League. .682 winning percentage. This is a 6-game road trip. Thursday's an off day, and then the Astros will be in Minnesota over the weekend. Carter strikes out. 2 down. That's 4 punch outs for Eovaldi.
tough when you're struggling. You always find yourself in these situations where you have a chance to help the ball club.
Hank Conger with 8 homers, 21 runs batted in, is hitting .223. Conger is hitting .304 as a left-handed batter. 6 of his 8 homers have come from this side of the plate, and his slugging percentage is .638 batting left-handed. That's 8 of 9 first pitch strikes for Eovaldi. Conger is 2 for 3 against the right-hander. Well, if you're from Alvin, it's in the water. You have to throw 100, right?
Exactly. So if I have a kid that's a pitcher, I'm moving to Alvin.
No balls, 2 strikes to Conger. The Astros, with a win tonight, could equal their victory total from last year, 70. Of course, they have 37 games remaining in which to do that.
So you're saying there's a chance?
There's a chance. 1-2. It'll be a slow night for scoreboard watching, though. Both the Angels and the Rangers are off. The Angels will start a road trip tomorrow night that will take them to 3 cities: Detroit, Cleveland, and Oakland. Conger's down on strikes. That's 5 for Eovaldi. No runs, 2 hits, 2 left for the Astros. No score.
Every Wednesday night, home game is $1 Hot Dog Wednesday, presented by Nolan Ryan Beef. The next Dollar Dog Wednesday is September 2nd, when the Astros take on the Mariners. For more information, visit astros.com/dollardogs or call 1-877-9-ASTROS.
Bottom of the 2nd inning. Here's Brian McCann, and there's strike 1 to the Yankee catcher with 22 homers, 75 runs batted in, and a .242 average for McCann. He's 10th in runs batted in the American League. Up the middle, the shift was on, and it gets by off the glove of Correa into center field as McCann becomes the first Yankee base runner. Astros owner Jim Crane is here tonight. Saw him at the hotel this afternoon. He was playing in a golf tournament on the East Coast over the weekend. But he said he watched all those exciting home games. Former Astro Carlos Beltran bats. That's it for strike one for Scott Feldman. Beltran at 271 has 13 homers, 46 runs batted in. You said you saw Jeff Leno here, right?
Yep. Saw him back in the media dining. Had a chance to sit down with him real quick. Seems like he's in a pretty good mood considering what's going on.
1-1. You and Sparky met one of the Astros scouts tonight.
Yep. Mike Wickman. I knew Mike from my days with the Montreal Expos. He moved on to Miami. But Sparky actually had him as a bat boy back in 1989 with the Stockton Ports. How about that?
1-2.
That's amazing. Mike Wickman still has his wits about him. He had some good stories to tell.
Greg Bird is on deck. That one slipped out of the hand of Feldman. The count runs to 2-2. Feldman with that 2.78 road ERA, 3 wins and 1 loss, hoping to break this road problem for the Astros tonight. They have dropped 17 of their last 21 on the road. They're 24-35 away from home. That's ripped, and it's lined well foul.
Yeah, I think Carlos guessed right there. Just got a little quick, thankfully.
Gray uniforms looking for a change. And for a strike. Strikeout number 1 for Feldman.
Take a look back to McCann's base hit. The shift was on, Brownie, you were talking about. You see where Correa is, but look at the range on this young man. Almost got there. If he comes up with this, there's a real good chance that he's got a chance to get McCann at first base. And here our Supermo, brought to you by Mattress Firm, shows you just how close he was. He never gives up on any play during the game. It's amazing to me. Not that you see too many big leaguers do that, but he is on top of it every play.
Strike 1 to rookie first baseman Greg Bird. 273 for Bird, 2 homers, 6 runs batted in, called up from the minor leagues. Mark Teixeira should be in the lineup tomorrow, we're told. Bird has had just 33 at bats, and he's looked good, and also with the glove has performed well. He has a .485 slugging percentage in the early portions of his major league career. One of the top prospects for the Yankees. That pitch was in on him and he fouled it. No balls, 2 strikes. Feldman moving the ball around tonight.
Yeah, that cutter sinker combination is good for him. We just saw it with Beltran, did the same thing, threw that cutter in, got a foul ball, and then ran back that sinker back over the inside part of the plate. Hitters usually give up because they anticipate the cut.
Fouled. Bird hit 2 homers in a game against the Twins. First 2 of his major league career. 3rd Yankee in franchise history with a multi-home run game within his first 5 major league games. He made his debut in a win at Cleveland August 13th. He punches that one foul. Bird came up from AAA Scranton Wilkes-Barre, but he started at AA Trenton. So he's climbed very quickly through the minor league system. Joe Girardi, meeting with the media as he always does, was pretty stoic as far as the loss of CC Sabathia, who will not make the next road trip. In the dirt, 1-2, and Joe was talking about the right knee of Sabathia and said we don't want him traveling through airports and doing those things involved that he can avoid by not going on the road. Doesn't sound very good for the big lefty.
He's got a big enough contract. Can't he just go out and buy one of those new hands-free Segways or something and alleviate some of the pressure of walking?
2 balls and 2 strikes to Bird. Well, the Yankees just plowing along, just a half game out though. And they think they have enough firepower in the rotation to go to the playoffs without Sabathia. That's out to center field. Gomez with the catch. 2 outs. Most consecutive series losses on the road. The Twins 11, the Phillies 11, the Astros 9.
Those are 2 contending teams in that mix. The Philadelphia Phillies, you kind of expected having a rough year, but pretty amazing. They'd like to snap that string. Here in New York for the Houston Astros, I believe that the Twins just snapped their streak by sweeping the Baltimore Orioles.
That's true. Chase Headley takes a look at it. It's ball 1 to the switch hitting third Sacker. 274, 9 homers, 50 runs batted in. And he is 5 for 10 against Feldman. 269 left-handed. Headley takes a look at ball 2. Feldman with that 5-4 lifetime record against the Yankees. Facing them for the first time this year. He beat them twice last year. In Houston, he beat CC Sabathia opening day. 6 2/3 innings, 2 hits and no runs. And then at Yankee Stadium he pitched another fine game. Fly ball out to left field. Marwin Gonzalez out number 3. No runs, 1 hit, 1 man left, no score.
Right now, we saw him go through these streaks a lot last year when he was on his way to a batting title. But you see the numbers from the last homestand, 432 average. Yesterday, you're looking at highlights from him off Clayton Kershaw. He was 3 for 4. Just another 3-hit day for Jose Altuve. The day before that, he was 2 for 2 off Zach Greinke. Multi-hit games for Jose Altuve since 2014. 112 2+ hit games since the beginning of 2014. That's the most in the majors. But the 3-hit and the 4-hit games. 4-hit games, it's 7. That's tied for the most in major leagues. But when this guy's hot, things go well for the Houston Astros, guys.
Altuve moves away from the inside heater. And there's ball 1. He struck out leading off the game. Well, as you pointed out on the homestand, that's usually the strong correlation. Altuve hitting well and the team playing well. He hit .444 on the homestand. 19 for 44, and the team wound up winning 7 and losing 3. Now he's 2-0 in the count. 3 hits yesterday for Altuve. Bouncer, and the second baseman is there, Drew. 1 out for Eovaldi. Eovaldi, one of 9 players drafted from Alvin High School, but only Nate Eovaldi and Nolan Ryan have made the majors from Alvin. Marwin Gonzalez struck out in the first inning. The Phillies lead the Mets in Philadelphia 4-1. They're in the bottom of the second inning. The Mets are similar to the Astros in the fact that they're a first place team with a huge differential between home and road performance. Foul ball, strike one to Marlin.
The Mets just got their big third baseman David Wright back. Hit a big bomb in his first at bat.
That's number 2 of the year. Jacob deGrom is pitching, but he was tagged for 4 hits and 4 earned runs in the first inning. Ryan Howard hit his 20th homer. And there was another home run in the inning for the Phillies, so they're out in front 4-1 now in the bottom of the second inning. The Mets are 25 and 35 on the road. The Astros are 24 and 35. Changeup makes it 0-2. The Astros can get to 14 games over 500 if they win this game, and that will equal their best of the year, 14 over. Stephen Drew can't find it now. He still looks up behind him, and it's Carlos Beltran. There's got to be a panicky feeling going on at twilight sometimes, Plummer.
It is not a good feeling at all, and you'll see when you show up to the ballpark, look around the infield, and during these times, and everybody will be pointing at each other. When that ball gets in the air, somebody try and pick it up, and if you got to play on it, go for it.
Last week, Carlos Beltran lost one in the outfield. Yeah, gather around fielders and help each other. It's not a good feel. Carlos Correa singled to right field early, and there is a fastball, ball 1. He had a group ready to greet him as he came out of the dugout. Puerto Ricans very proud of him. Bounced up the middle. Here's Drew trying a throw from the shortstop side, and a good play to Rod Correa in a 1-2-3 third for Eovaldi. No score. It has been getting better. In fact, the best in the American League, and the starters since August 11th check in at 2.04 on their ERA, while the relief corps has a 1.26 ERA since August 11th.
Those numbers are truly phenomenal. If you combine those, you're right around a 1.80. But that should be encouraging if they can take those kinds of numbers on the road. Therefore, the offense doesn't have to score too often, put too much pressure on that offense, because those guys are dealing right now.
They really are. There's strike one to Didi Gregorius in a 0-0 game in the home third inning. 252, 5 homers, 32 runs batted in for Gregorius, a low on base average of 300. Good defensive player who had a rough start at shortstop this season. He fouls that one and knocks the mask off Hank Conger, and it's 0-2. So perhaps it was the pressure of taking over for Derek Jeter at shortstop, but whatever the reason, Gregorius did have some fumbles with the glove early. He's played a solid brand of shortstop once he got those straightened out. And bangs one into right field. Leadoff single, just as McCann did in the second inning.
Yeah, once you realize you're not going to fill the shoes of a guy like Derek Jeter, just go out there and play your game. You're going to end up being okay. Didi is a good ball player. He's got good tools. He's in a good spot right now too.
He's aboard for the second baseman. The former shortstop Stephen Drew has moved over. 198, 15 homers, 35 runs batted in. And he has big numbers against Scott Feldman, 6 for 13 with 2 homers. Drew would not remind anyone of Steve Bye-Bye Balboni except with his statistics. 15 homers and a 198 batting average. That's on the corner for strike one.
I love the Steve Balboni call. I was not anticipating that. That's pretty good.
That came out of nowhere.
I like it.
Well, he's second among Major League second basemen with those 15 homers. Brian Dozier of the Twins has 25. One and one. A little difference in body build between Bye-Bye.
Just a bit.
Of the 65 hits for Stephen Drew, 30 have been for extra bases. In addition to the 15 homers, he had 14 doubles and a triple. He was a first-round pick of Arizona in 04. Last year, he hit 162 for Boston. Ground ball foul. So that tells you he's regarded very highly as a defensive player, with batting averages sub 200 for the last couple of years.
Either that or there's nobody else behind him.
That has a play in it too, doesn't it?
No, but Steven's a good kid. Had a chance to play with him in Arizona. He was doing a great job. I was there when he had that horrific ankle injury at home plate. And that's kind of where the, not the downfall, but that's where the downslide kind of started for Stephen Drew. Coming back from that ankle injury where he literally spun that thing around, destroyed every ligament, broke a couple bones. It was nasty. But the guy can hit. I know the numbers don't dictate that. He's got 9 bombs here at Yankee Stadium out of those 15. But we saw that last play to end the inning before where he made that great play on Correa up the middle.
That was. Feldman throws over. Gregorius with 4 steals in 6 tries. Conger has thrown out 1 of 29. The Yankees are 13th in steals in the American League. And they would be ranking a lot higher had Ellsbury not missed a lot of time. That one could be trouble. With the shift on, that's an infield hit. Bad luck for Scott Feldman.
That is the truth. Location, location, location. Feldman made a great pitch on this actually with that breaking ball. Took enough off of it. Got a big swing from Stephen Drew. He was just able to get the end of the bat on it and nub it out there. And with the shift on and Valbuena playing back, no chance to make a play here. That was perfect.
Ellsbury comes up. He grounded out to Altuve in the first inning. 2 on, nobody out for Ellsbury with Gardner on deck. Grounds to first. Carter throwing to second. Correa returns and safe at first with Feldman covering. 2 long throws required, and Ellsbury is able to beat that return throw. The timing wasn't great on that double play.
Good to get that runner at second base. Now you got a first and third, 1 out. Gardner is a tough guy to double up. Now you got a speedy runner in Ellsbury, but throw a little bit high, but you're lucky when you got a 6'4" shortstop over there. And I think on the return throw, I'm not sure if Correa knew if he was throwing to Carter or Feldman because both guys were in the vicinity.
So talk about the shortstop's role there when he's not sure who's covering.
You know what? That's one of the toughest things. And there would be times where you'd be at shortstop, you get a feed, you know the pitcher's covering, and you refuse to throw it because you have absolutely no trust in that pitcher. And I mean, it sounds terrible, but there are times where you're just, it's tough getting the footwork running from the mound and getting in a good position to make a catch.
Gardner, the batter. They strike one. First and third, one out. Gardner popped a short in the first inning.
Gardner's only grounded into 6 double plays all year.
Valbuena is close to the bag at third. Trying to keep Gregorius close as well. Possibility of a bunt. It's kind of like a first baseman in a way for Valbuena. He starts off pretty close, so Gregorius will not take a huge lead, and then he creeps away and in on the grass to defend the hitter.
Yeah, now with 2 strikes, that bunt out of the question. But yeah, we've seen it across baseball where that first and third situation, less than 2 outs, you see that bunt going towards first base, kind of like a safety squeeze.
A-Rod's on deck. Swing and a miss, and Gardner strikes out. That is very big for Scott Feldman. 2 down. Second strikeout for Feldman.
Good pitch in a big situation, but also a great job by Conger to keep this ball in front with all the base runners on. Kept the runner at first, kept the runner at third at bay. Kind of appreciate the pump fake to first, and maybe try and get Gregorius to lean a little bit.
Yeah.
But I'm kind of surprised that Ellsbury hasn't taken off yet. This is a good combination to run on right here in Feldman and Conger.
Excellent point. Alex Rodriguez smashed a line drive. Jose Altuve caught it in the first inning. That's strike one to A-Rod. Among the many achievements in his career, he hit a homer on his 40th birthday, July 27th at Texas. And that made him the 4th player in history to homer both as a teenager and as a 40-year-old. Rusty Staub, Gary Sheffield, and Ty Cobb did it. Runner takes off. No throw from Conger. Ellsbury moves into second base. And it's 1-1. '17 stolen base for Ellsbury. You called that one.
Yeah, I figured it'd just be a matter of time. You'd want to do it a little bit early, maybe give Gardner a chance to drive in a run, but now with Alex Rodriguez up there, you definitely want to get into scoring position if you can.
In the air to right field, Colby Rasmus. And Feldman gets out of third inning trouble. No runs, 2 hits, a couple of singles to start the inning, and then Feldman gets tough to keep it scoreless through 3. presented by Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance. Visit us at geico.com or call 1-800-947-AUTO. And by Southwest Airlines. Book your low fare now at southwest.com. 0-0 through 3 here at Yankee Stadium. Famous statue. Each club with 3 hits. They've been singles for each club as we go to the 4th inning now. Even Steven for these 2 starting pitchers. Eovaldi had an 8-pitch 3rd inning. Colby Rasmus fouls back his first pitch of the 4th. Colby struck out in the 1st inning as Eovaldi had 3 punch-outs. Off the plate, 1-1. Rockies 2, Braves 2 in the bottom of the 3rd in Atlanta. Out to left center field. Colby watches Brett Gardner move in and take care of his fly ball. 1 out.
Got the Toyota drive to the playoffs. It's good to look at this after such a good homestand the Astros had, going 7-3 in their last 10 games. 69-56. We talked about that next win being number 70. That's great. 4-game lead over the Rangers, who overtook the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim. Yankees atop that wild card standing. So good things happening. I think if this is one of those road trips where the Astros can put it together, you can start to create some space and really start looking forward to September.
Ball 1 to Carlos Gomez. Well, you've been sort of our embedded correspondent with the Angels out there on the West Coast.
Yeah, they are sitting on the panic button out there.
Houston Street blew up a little bit after their recent loss.
I think for me, that's one of the interesting things about the Angels. Is it, that clubhouse leadership or that clubhouse camaraderie, chemistry, whatever you want to call it. The guy that, the number they cannot put on a ball club as far as sabermetrics is chemistry and how these guys function together as a unit. And I think we're seeing the discrepancy out there in Anaheim where they're trying to look for that guy that can catapult them or turn things around, as opposed to the Houston Astros, who have 25 guys that want to turn it around together.
1 ball, 2 strikes to Carlos Gomez. Dave Hudgens, the hitting coach, on the left.
I love those conversations right there.
Struck him out. What are they saying?
Well, that's the thing, is that you get a chance to, obviously Colby flew out, took a good pass and a good pitch to hit, probably going back there talking about the sequence. What did you see as far as the pitch and the tendencies that we talked about before the game? And then they'll talk about the mechanics of the swing. What did you see? Was I on time? Was I not? Were my hands in the right spot? But sometimes after you make it out, just going there and just venting a little bit and having that ear to just chew on and get some of that bad vibe out of the way clears things up for your next at bat.
Gaddis with a bouncer. Drew will take his time and throw him out. 1, 2, 3, 4th. That's 8 straight retired by Eovaldi. No score.
tickets are on sale now. Guarantee your seats for a potential 2015 postseason run by reserving your 2016 season tickets today. Visit Astros.com/season tickets or call 1-877-9-ASTROS. Scott Feldman gets back to work, and got a chance to catch up with him yesterday on just how he's feeling as he's been pitching so well recently, deep into games. A quality start after quality start for this guy, especially this month, pitching really well. But he told me that he's feeling really healthy, really refreshed. Remember, he came off the DL not too long ago. He's made 6 starts since then, but got kind of breather for that arm during that time as well, guys. Just everything's kind of working for him and feeling good right now.
That's a good point. It's pretty much like a trade acquisition or getting a fresh arm from the minor leagues because of the enforced rest he had with the knee surgery. So we talk a lot, and we have been, Blummer, about the Astros managing the innings for young pitchers such as Vince Velasquez and Lance McCullers, but here's a veteran coming back with a stronger arm than normal as far as not putting innings on him to this point of the season.
And it puts emphasis again on the lower half of a pitcher. The legs are such an important part of their stamina, their endurance throughout the course of the season, and their delivery. I'm sure that with his knee ailing early on, put a lot of pressure on that arm to compensate for what was going on. Now he's fixed. He's 100%. And like you said, it's not too bad for some of these older guys to get a break every once in a while. If you ask Scott, he probably said, no, I don't want the break, don't need the break, but he took full advantage of it, and here he is healthy and pitching well.
Brent Strom watching the veteran right-hander who just passed 100 innings for the season. That's a liner off the bat of McCann into right field. McCann's 2 for 2. Carlos Beltran comes up. This is his 1,000th game in the American League. He's played more games than that in the National League. He's the only active player and the 6th overall in baseball history to play at least 1,000 in both leagues. Bob Boone did it. Vladimir Guerrero, Fred McGriff, Frank Robinson, and Dave Winfield.
That'd be a fun team to watch.
You know it. Ball 1 to Beltran, who was caught looking in the 2nd inning. Foul back. Feldman has made 7 starts on the road with that 3-1 road record of 2.78 ERA. 6 of the 7 have been quality starts, including the last 4. On the corner, it's 1-2. During the last 10 games, when the Astros starters have the 2.13 ERA, they worked 67 2/3 innings. That's also tops in the majors in the last 10 days. Valbuena on a knee, gets it to Correa, and there's the double play. 5-6-3.
Just a standard double play these days.
108th double play for the Astros this season.
Beltran almost looked like a natural shortstop out there.
He did. He knew he had time. Beltran not running well this year.
No, that's a really good point. McCann, the runner at first base, just make sure you can see the fundamentals right there. Make sure you make good throws, good exchanges, and get those 2 outs.
Here's Bird with a fly ball. Gomez over to left center. Feldman's not budging either. Eovaldi and Feldman, nothing through 4.
You play Name That Astro, and it is brought to you by your local Honda dealer. We have some good clues for you today. Remember to tweet us your best guess. First clue, he attended college in Syracuse. Not at Syracuse, in. Allowed a famous home run, and he also did not hit any home runs. He was nicknamed after a song by the Rays. You guys know who I'm talking about?
Yeah, because I looked.
Wow, cheater.
Yeah, I cheated.
I have no clue. That means I'm going to have to look it up.
Luis Valbuena leads it off. There's the pitch count by inning. Total of 45 for Nate Eovaldi, a low figure through 4. He throws ball 1 low to Valbuena. Valbuena worked the count 3-1, and he singled to right field, but there have been consecutive 8-pitch innings here by Eovaldi, and only one Astros hitter has seen as many as 5 pitches in an at bat. That's just power. 1-1. Try to pull that, he's saying.
Go into the bat rack and get a 32, maybe 27-ounce bat. Man.
Two balls and a strike. Tigers 4, Reds nothing. Bottom of the 3rd. Buck Farmer of Detroit has a no-hitter through 2. J.D. Martinez hit his 33rd. Nick Castellanos number 14 for the Tigers. Off the plate, and it's 3-1 again for Valbuena for the 2nd time tonight. Carter and Conger to follow in the Astros 5th inning. And a pitching duel here in game 1 of a 3-game series. Valbuena takes ball 4. The appeal went down to third base. Trip Gibson with the safe call, indicating he checked his swing. First walk of the night for Eovaldi. And this leadoff walk gives the Astros a chance to get something going. First time they've had the leadoff man on. Chris Carter follows. He struck out with 2 men aboard in the 2nd inning. Tomorrow night it's 14-game winner Dallas Keuchel against Ivan Nova. Wednesday we have a day game. Colin McHugh and Michael Pineda. Carter started the bat. He checked his swing. The appeal went down to Eric Cooper, and it's ball 1. Oh, when a guy throws 100, the hitter knows he has to get that bat going quickly.
Well, that's the problem, is you're anticipating 98, yet you have to adjust to everything else, and you don't have much time to figure that out.
How much time do you think you have? About 3/10 of a second.
At 98 to 100, yeah.
It's not a whole lot of time.
Really not.
2 balls, no strikes. Can't even take a sip of water in 3/10 of a second. McCann's out to talk. We're getting all kinds of responses on Twitter to Name That Astro. Julia has come up with a beauty tonight. Is it Brad Lidge? Joaquin Andujar? Brad Lidge or Joaquin Andujar? Six balls in the inning for Eovaldi. He threw 11 in his first 4 innings. And that's number 7 as the count goes to 3-0 on Carter. Carter's walked 51 times. He typically has more pitches per plate appearance than any Astro. In for a strike, and it's 3-1 with Conger on deck.
So you can always tell when it's a good question when you're getting multiple names.
Al Downing.
You don't like that one, Brownie?
He wasn't an Astro. In the air, the right fielder comes over. Carlos Beltran. Here's Stephen Drew going for it, though, and Bird turns for it. Bird has the foul ball. 1 down. Pittsburgh 2, Miami nothing. Top of the 4th at Miami. Jay Happ has the shutout going for the Pirates against Tom Kohler. That Pirate team, very impressive. 74-48. Conger struck out in the 2nd inning. Cardinals, Pirates both figure to be playoff teams the way it looks right now.
Well, how, with all the talk of the Astros moving into the American League, looks like a pretty good move right now.
Oh yeah. Drew does not make the pickup, throws to first late. As Stephen Drew, on that second hop, the ball came up, but he was really trying to hurry to get Valbuena, and he didn't make a play anywhere.
Yeah, I think you're right. That primary concern was to try and get that lead runner. I believe Girardi's going to come out and challenge this call at first. But it did. With Conger's speed, he knew he had time, but he really wanted to get that lead runner. That second hop kind of jumped up. Might have surprised him a little bit.
Looked like it did.
Watch as he's watching this hop. It kind of springs off that dirt.
When the ball takes the second bounce on the dirt after bouncing on the grass, what's happening there?
Well, sometimes you get that top spin out in front of home plate. And if it hits the grass, replay here at Yankee Stadium, looks like Conger might be out. But off the dirt, it'll react a little bit quicker. The grass will deaden it and take some of that spin off, as opposed to the dirt will give it a little more traction and cause it to jump like that.
Conger is giving it up. He's headed for the dugout. They have not made their ruling yet. Hank saw all he needed to see. It doesn't mean that he couldn't go back to first base if they don't rule that way.
So he's going in there for a drink of water?
It could be, yeah. Time is out. But he's given up the ghost. And for him, that's out number 2. He saw
putting
all
on
he
the
needed.
gear.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever seen somebody just give up and say, I'm out.
Can you run the bases with shin guards on?
I'm not sure. Maybe in Little League.
Out. 2 outs, so no error by Drew because he did get an out on the play.
The Coca-Cola Value Days package is a great ballpark bargain, available for select Monday through Thursday regular season games. This offer scores you a ticket, hot dog, soda, and popcorn, all for just $16. To purchase tickets, visit astros.com/Coke Value or call 1-877-9-ASTROS.
Even though Drew did get an out, he did not get the lead runner, so Jose Altuve has a chance here at the RBI. With a runner at second, 2 outs, he's 0 for 2. The review took a minute 32 seconds. Ball 1 to Altuve, and he is one of the best clutch hitters on the team. He's hard to strike out. .333 with men in scoring position, and he displays it there. He's not chasing here. It's 2-0. Three balls, no strikes to Altuve.
That was too nasty. Locked up everybody. Sometimes you see that where everybody flinches behind home plate. Pitcher, catcher, umpire. I think that might have been one of them.
Altuve does take a big cut at the 3-0, but it was not in the zone.
Man, that's a tough pitch. 3-0. It's all right. Altuve let himself air it out. Now he's loose.
That's ball 4. Yeah, you're almost better swinging and missing, right, than making weak contact.
Yeah, you know what? That is a good thing sometimes. I mean, you nub that off the end of the bat or get jammed and you make an out. That's obviously worst case scenario, but swing and a miss gives you another opportunity because you're already in a hitter's count.
2 men on now after the second walk of the inning. Marwin Gonzalez is 0 for 2, a strikeout and a fly ball to right. The Yankees have a 3.88 staff ERA. That's 9th best in the American League. Pull foul, there's strike one. When the Tampa Bay Rays were at Houston last week, we talked about the Tampa Bay pitching philosophy, taking note that the batting average against the starting pitcher the third time through the order was a lot higher, and they're trying to avoid those matchups by getting the bullpen in the game earlier. Well, the third time through the order against Nate Eovaldi, teams hit .341 with a .421 on base average. And we're seeing that here in this inning so far, but of course he can still escape any run scoring by getting Gonzalez.
2-out lightning.
Marwin has certainly been Mr. Clutch the last week. 1 ball, 1 strike.
And that's been the great thing about this top part of the lineup, having Marwin hit 2-hole. Obviously he handles the bat pretty well, is able to sacrifice himself to move guys along, but he's able to get that big hit too, and you've got to pitch to him because of the guy behind him.
For the season, he's hitting .288 with men in scoring position. Carlos Correa is on deck. Bouncer to Drew. Over to Bird. No runs, no hits. 2-man left. No score. Your low fare now at southwest.com. And by HEB. No store does more than my HEB. Here at new Yankee Stadium in the Bronx, it's Astros nothing, Yankees nothing. Only singles in this game. And here is Chase Headley. There's ball 1. Headley hit a fly ball to left on a 2-0 count back in the second inning. He's reached base in 29 of his last 30 games, hitting .330 since July 23rd. This one goes out to center. Gomez. 1 out. So Feldman versus Eovaldi. Very good pitching duel tonight. Feldman got a double play ball last inning. He's given up 4 singles. Eovaldi's given up 3 singles. Didi Gregorius singled to right in the third.
I just think it's great to watch these pitching matchups where you see a power pitcher like Eovaldi, Feldman, who's got to be able to locate, work all 4 pitches in there, and they can still go out there and compete proved to be a great pitching matchup so far.
Yeah. That cuts in on him, and it's ball one to Gregorius. Gregorius, 25 years old. He was born in Amsterdam. Cincinnati signed him in 08 as a free agent. 2-0, and he came to the Yankees in a trade. That was a three-way deal involving Arizona and Detroit. He played last year for Arizona, hitting .226. Two and one. Feldman throws his cutter quite often, 41% of the time. And hitters are managing just a .224 average against it. On the corner, 2-2. White Sox lead the Red Sox 1-0 in Chicago after one. Jeff Samardzija got home run support from Jose Abreu, his 24th. Joe Kelly's on the mound for the Red Sox. Slap to third. Valbuena. 2 outs. By the way, Jed Lowry is fine, but he's getting another day to rest that right hand. And he had some swelling, some puffiness in the right hand near the area where the thumb was surgically repaired but not thought to be directly connected. He got jammed on an at bat yesterday.
Well, I was just say, if you get jammed, it's going to leave that mark. He already has that scar tissue going on in there from the surgeries. But probably a good night. If you're having trouble with those thumbs and you're getting jammed a little bit, Eovaldi doesn't seem like the type of guy you'd want to get jammed on.
Excellent point. Stephen Drew looks at ball one. Drew got the infield hit to third. Feldman has not gone to a 3-ball count yet on any hitter. Scott has walked just 22 in 102 innings this year. Really a study in contrasting styles between these two right-handers tonight. That's in for strike one. The wild card races should keep everybody interested throughout the month of September. One and two. They're close.
I was going to say, and I think that's a good thing for baseball.
Well, in the American League, it's the Yankees now with the top wild card spot. The Texas Rangers are second, and several other teams within reach. That is a good thing. 1 and 2. And the Angels and Minnesota are both a game and a half behind Texas for that second wild card spot. Baltimore trails by 2. Tampa Bay 2.5.
I want to say last year's World Series matchup, 2 wild card teams.
You are correct, sir.
So all you're looking for is a ticket to the dance, and then what you do with it after that.
Now, here's a question for you, because a couple of analysts on a sports talk show were saying they like the one game wild card playoff. Do you like just one game for that?
As a player, no. As a fan, yes.
Right.
Because I like the added interest. Like you said, you got to fight your way just to get into that one game playoff, and then your entire season's put on that one game. So it's kind of exciting as a fan to see what these guys do, but it could put you in a little bit of a bind if you're that team that does make it past that, or if you're the team that gets knocked out. You feel shortchanged.
Yankees look good right now for a playoff spot. Correa comes in with the shift on and takes care of out number 3 through 5. There is no score in the Bronx.
Our TXU Energy Power player is Carlos Correa, whose last 3 hits have come in the 6th inning or later and have all directly contributed to 2 Astros wins. The 19th against Tampa Bay, that walk-off hit. This one right here, driving in another run off the shoe tops of Clayton Kershaw. Only hit 257. I say only because it's Carlos Correa. Anybody else would probably be pretty satisfied with that. But the hits he is getting are contributing, and he's been the man on the spot, consistently getting big hits for these Houston Astros since being moved into that 3-hole in this lineup.
You saw that stolen base. That was in the 9th inning, and then he scored the tying run on the 2-out hit by Marwin Gonzalez. Now he leads it off here in the 6th inning. So this is his time. He is 1 for 2. Single to right field, and then a good play by Drew. Took a hit away from him in the 3rd. And McCann goes out to confer with Eovaldi, with Rasmus and Gomez to follow in the Astros 6th inning. Eovaldi has held them to 3 singles. 5 men left on base for Houston. That is strike 1. Very good pitch by Eovaldi.
And you know you're a good hitter when there hasn't been a pitch thrown in the inning and you're leading off and they have a meeting at the mound.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that. What? Oh, wait, what's that all about?
I don't know. I've never seen that before.
No balls, 2 strikes. Orioles 2, Royals nothing. Top of the 2nd. In KC. Big game for Baltimore, pressing for a wild card spot. Ubaldo Jimenez pitching against Chris Medlin. That one bounces, and it's 1-2. Very proud island of Puerto Rico. Points to Carlos Correa. Quite possibly the American League Rookie of the Year in the making. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Well, the Astros have had some National League Rookies of the Year. Why not an American League Rookie of the Year?
I think they're writing his name on the trophy for me.
That's out into right field and drops in for a hit. He's 2 for 3. Well, you know, if Lance McCullers had been here all season, he ironically would be giving Carlos a pretty good run for that award, right?
You ain't lying, because those numbers start racking up for Lance. He's been doing real well.
Correa aboard. He does that drill on a tee, putting the ball inside off the plate on a batting tee to make sure his hands get through. Looks like that drill is paying off.
Yeah, and for me, Carlos is a guy who does not give up on at-bats. He is a guy who just grinds out at-bats, and I think that's evidence of it right there. Some of those hits that he's able to just force the other way because he is staying inside that. But again, the preparation of Carlos Correa and the work ethic is why he's successful for me. And you get the sense of that just in talking to him, because he says the right things, he's doing the right things, and just I can't get over it. I enjoy watching him play.
1-0 to Rasmus. Good running count here. McCann has thrown out 5 of the last 7 and 37% for the season. One ball and 1 strike. Rasmus is very much a fly ball hitter with that uppercut swing. It's 3:14 down the right field line at Yankee Stadium. Throw goes over. This new Yankee Stadium opened in 2009. It's right across the street from the site of the original, which was torn down.
I like the original. Had a lot of fun playing there. Good atmosphere.
Historic place.
Yeah, I think that was part of the appeal too, especially when you go through Boston, but for New York and just the storied names that have dug in. Good grief. There's been a couple numbers retired here for some of the players that have played so well in a Yankee uniform, but you get to dig into the same box they did.
A couple of more numbers were retired over the weekend. Jorge Posada and Andy Pettitte. Colby's had a patient at bat, and it's 3-1 to Rasmus.
This could really work out to his favor because Colby can hit a good fastball. Like you said, that fly ball in this ballpark could jump the Astros out there.
Those are the newly retired numbers.
Part of that solid core that won a lot of national championships, world championships.
Yeah. Correa is drawing more throws. He does not have a big lead. Being carefully watched. The Astros continue to lead the league in steals with 95. In a game like this, a stolen base could decide it the way these two pitchers are working tonight. Rasmus has worked a walk, and it's first and second, nobody out. That's the third walk now for Eovaldi. Let's flash back to Saturday. Jorge Posada coming out. There's the plaque and the retired number 20. And then his longtime battery mate, Andy Pettitte, accorded that same honor. Monument Park is a must for visitors. Really worthwhile here.
Have to build another stadium. Think they've done that before?
They're going to have to go into triple digits when they hand out new uniform numbers to players now. They have so many retired uniform numbers. Look at all those numbers that have been retired.
Pretty incredible. And the numbers those guys have put up. Jorge Posada, great guy. Andy Pettitte, great guy. Bernie Williams, great guy. You played against them. They beat up on you, but they were always so personable. Good people to talk to.
Carlos Gomez showing bunt. Pulled the bat back. And it's ball one high. He is 0 for 2. That's not a bad thought in this situation. It's been so tough to get anything going against Eovaldi. Try to advance 2 runners with 1 bunt. And then if it's mishandled, he could even reach. He's fast. He does bunt. Goes to Eovaldi. Throws to first and gets him. Sacrifice for Gomez. Moving Correa to third and Rasmus to second. 1 out.
And it doesn't have to be a perfect bunt, which that wasn't. But Correa at second base runs well, able to get to third base and advance. Now you've got the team leader in RBIs at the plate in Evan Gattis. You've got a right-on-right matchup with Eovaldi and Evan Gattis. First base is open. Do you walk him and get to the left-handed hitting Valbuena? Gattis already with a knock on the day. This is the spot Evan Gattis has been enjoying all season long, being in that RBI spot.
1 for 2 tonight. Corner infielders in. Ground ball, and the runners hold. No, we've got a problem with Rasmus. They throw behind him, and he goes back into second. He's out. He took off, but Correa didn't. That's a big mistake.
That is a big mistake, and that tells me there might have been a little bit of miscommunication. 1 out, and you're the runner at third base. And there's a runner at second base. There will be a sign from your third base coach to both the runner at third base and second base, indicating that we are going on contact, or we are going only if the ball gets through the infield. And you can see the reaction from Correa was on contact, and that's what Colby was reacting to. But some base running issues for the Houston Astros, even in some of the games they won at home with some of the pickoffs, the steals of home.
That is costly. 2 outs. Valbuena the batter. He flares one foul. There's strike one. So Gattis reaching on that fielder's choice play from 3 to 6, getting Rasmus. Now, even though there are still 2 men on base, it's first and third instead of second and third. Valbuena has a single and a walk. Astros are 0 for 4 with runners in scoring position.
Colby did a good job of trying to get back in there. He avoided the tag, but coming off is where the out is made.
Sam Holbrook with the out call. Valbuena trying to give the Astros a lift after the base running error. Now you can kind of see on that replay the dilemma when Correa took a step toward home. Rasmus took off. That's driven to center field. Way back, Ellsbury for the catch. No runs a hit, 2 men left, no score. '51 after a 6-week demotion to the minors. The game marks the first time Mick wears his now iconic number 7 since his original number 6 had been given to infielder Bobby Brown.
It was given to Bobby Brown, or did Bobby Brown feel it was his prerogative to have that number?
Well, can't answer that, but number 7 worked out well for Mickey.
Yeah. It's a game of adjustments, Browning.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's that number.
And number 6, Dr. Bobby Brown, became later the president of the American League. 0-0 now as Scott Feldman goes back to work. Throws a curveball. Jacoby Ellsbury showing bunt is 0 for 2 in this game. By the way, here's a bonus quiz for Jeff Blum only. You hit a home run at Old Yankee Stadium. Do you remember that?
Yeah, I do actually. I know who I hit it off of too.
Okay, that was the question.
Paul Quantrill.
You're right.
How about that? I believe, I want to say I played left field that game too.
Okay, we don't have that, but the year was 2004.
Okay, I've got a question for you. What position was I playing when I hit it?
Left field. Well, that had to be a thrill. You were in left field. We just got verification.
You want an interesting story? I believe that was after one of the hurricanes. I was with the Tampa Bay Devil Rays at the time, and that was after we had to cancel a couple games here in New York because of a hurricane. We were unable to get out of Tampa Bay, and we showed up a couple days late because Category 1 is coming through, and I believe George Steinbrenner called us out in the paper and said, "You guys are trying to avoid us."
Oh, really?
And our owner was like, "No, we're trying to keep our team intact by not flying through a hurricane."
Yeah. Strike 3 call to Ellsbury. Feldman put that one right on the edge. He cut it back in for strikeout number 3. Really nice pitch. Right in Conger's mid. Brett Gardner is 0 for 2. Each club with 4 hits and no errors. All 8 hits in the game have been singles. That's ball 1. You come to Yankee Stadium, you witness a 0-0 game in the 6th. Are you surprised in this ballpark?
I am. We know the Yankees like hitting here. We know the home run ability from the Houston Astros. So you figure one of these, but that's the thing. Pitcher has to make a mistake in order for these guys to hit it. And I really haven't seen too many mistakes from either pitcher so far.
Grounded, and Carter's there for out number 2. You saw Dallas Keuchel watching. He'll be on the mound tomorrow night. There are rumors that the Astros are interested in talking long-term contract, or maybe talking long-term contract with Dallas Keuchel.
Not a bad idea.
And we also saw those same rumors involving Colin McHugh in print today. Good play by Carter there to his right. That was Hurricane Ivan, by the way, Plummer.
I believe, and I'm glad that you bring that up, because there were about 3 of them that whipped through there that season.
Yeah.
We had a series against Detroit, I believe, where we had a walk-off sac fly because there was a curfew at like 9:30 because the Detroit Tigers had to get out of town before the hurricane hit. It was an interesting year, to say the least.
Sounds like it. Well, you're kind of the hurricane man because you were there for Ike in Houston.
Yeah, that was a good one.
1-1, and wasn't that the story that was it you and Mark Loretta were changing a tire in the driving rain?
No, that was David Newhand.
Okay,
you remember that? That was,
yeah.
Whew, that led to a whole bunch of other issues with Bud Selig sending us to Milwaukee.
Yeah, it did.
That was absolutely miserable.
2 balls and a strike. Phillies lead the Mets 7-5 at the end of 4 in a slugging match in Philadelphia. Jacob deGrom in 2 2/3 innings allowed 6 earned runs tonight. That ballooned his ERA all the way up to 2.29. What a year. Very well placed curveball. 2-2.
Feldman's doing a good job of mixing pitches, keeping guys off balance. It was a good sharp breaking ball.
Here's the exclusive club. Willie Mays, Hank Aaron, and Alex Rodriguez. 3,000 hits, 600 homers. He bounces that one foul. And when he got his 3,000th hit, Alex had gotten those 3,000 hits off 939 different pitchers in 40 different ballparks over a 21-year period. Hit a grand slam a few days ago. That was his 25th. That's a major league record. A cutter and a strikeout. That's number 4. And Scott Feldman is really standing up to Nate Eovaldi. No score after 6.
look at the upcoming schedule brought to you by Progressive. Just starting this 6-game road trip with 2 more here in New York before a day off in Minnesota. Then over the weekend it'll be Astros Twinkies baseball before heading back into what should be another beautiful homestand for the Houston Astros. 3 against the Seattle Mariners, another day off. That's a good looking September schedule with those days off. And if you're on a team that's going for the pennant, give those guys some quality rest. 3 more against the Minnesota Twins, and then back into the AL West to finish off. They're getting started in that month of September.
7th inning, Chris Carter 0 for 2, a strikeout and a foul pop to first. Infield shifted around for Carter. That is strike 1 for Nate Eovaldi. Well, you will be doing your usual road shtick on this trip and then coming back home for that Seattle series.
Yeah. Make a trip through Houston. It'll be my last one.
In for a strike.
I appreciate you including me on what will hopefully be some more of that magic at home.
Oh, you will enjoy it. Ash gets a little time off. He'll be back after that Seattle series.
Yeah, we need him well rested for that playoff push in September.
Strikeout. 1 out, and that's punch out number 7 for Eovaldi. In his last start, he threw a season high 120 pitches, beating the Twins. But look at the low pitch count now. And it's Hank Conger batting. Conger 0 for 2.
Throwing 52 strikes out of those 83 pitches. That's where he's constantly ahead, forcing Astro hitters to swing. And he's throwing 97 plus miles an hour.
Oh, and 2. He's mixing it up. It's not just pure heat. His current 8-game winning streak is tied with Zach Greinke for the longest in the majors this year. 1 and 2.
Talking to Steve Sparks before the game, and he had mentioned in Eovaldi's last start, he threw 40 pitches at 99 plus miles an hour in that game. He had done it 39 times total throughout the season up until that point. So he was feeling pretty good that last outing.
You bet. Well, it doesn't seem to have cost him very much tonight. He rolls this one to Bird, and Conger's retired. 2 outs.
Register to win the chance to register to win the chance to purchase tickets for potential 2015 Astros postseason games at Minute Maid Park. You won't want to miss the excitement of October baseball. Sign up at astros.com/postseason tickets.
Well, they'd love for you to come out and see them in the postseason. Got to get there first. Jose Altuve is 0 for 2 with a walk. Eovaldi has retired 19 of the 27 batters. He's thrown first pitch strikes to 19 of 27 batters. That's out to center field. And Ellsbury ranges back for a 1-2-3 7th. Still scoreless.
offers incredible savings, such as the all-you-can-eat seats at Minute Maid Park, available every game. This great deal scores you a ticket and unlimited ballpark favorites starting at only $35. For more information, visit astros.com/value or call 1-877-9-ASTROS. Good news, Astros fans. George Springer took a big step forward in returning to action on the field as he took BP today this afternoon at Yankee Stadium, of course traveling with the team, and that was the first time he's hit on the field since fracturing that right wrist back on July 1st. Said it went well. He'll do it again tomorrow. They're just trying to get that wrist and hand strengthened back. That's the most important thing, to where he feels like it's a swing, and A.J. Hinch even said that he was getting a little agitated about his swing, which is a good sign. That means he's getting closer to wanting to dial it up a little bit. Also, Springer said that he's got to be careful. He's excited to be out there, obviously, but he's got to be careful and not try to go out all the way out in some of these swings. We know he can swing hard, guys. We've seen him do that, but this Astros club missing this guy's bat and defense as we watch some of his best catches from this season.
He's very good. But man, you just want to make sure that he is healthy when he comes back, because you want to utilize every resource that strong outfielder can bring to a ball club. And man, wouldn't that be a pleasant surprise to have him for the month of September as they head towards the postseason, hopefully.
Possibly a return the first week of September for George Springer. He'll need some minor league rehab time. We go to the bottom of the 7th inning, and it is scoreless. Each club with 4 hits, no errors. All hits in the game have been singles. George Springer watching as Scott Feldman goes to the mound. Brian McCann is 2 for 2 against him. Gets a first pitch curve for strike 1. The last 8 Yankees have been retired by Feldman. Longest outing of the season for Scott Feldman, 7 2/3 innings at Kansas City, July 25th. He gave up 1 run. It's 1-1. Quite a duel tonight here. And out into right field, McCann gets his 3rd hit. He got jammed on that one, but he is 3 for 3. And each time he's led off the inning with a single. Carlos Beltran is 0 for 2. He struck out looking, and he bounced into a double play. Cubs beat Cleveland today. Each club got a run in the 9th. 2-1 Chicago at Wrigley. Strike to Beltran. The game-winning homer came from Chris Bryant, his 20th home run in the bottom of the 9th. Cubs are looking very, very strong. They're now 72-51, but they're in 3rd place in the NL Central. 0-2 to Beltran. According to Pitch FX, Feldman has thrown the 2nd highest percentage of curveballs in the American League, 25%. Conger goes for it after blocking it. 1-2. McCann just collected his 3rd hit. That's his 6th 3-hit game of the year. But he is not fast.
That is a true statement.
Close one. 2-2. The Astros lead the majors in homers with 167. The Yankees are 5 behind them with 164. Both these teams really collect home runs at home. The Astros have played more home games than the Yankees. Fouled away. Still 2-2.
I'd say even the road games in division are a little bit different for both teams too. The Astros get to go to places like Oakland, Seattle, even Anaheim plays big. Texas and Minute Maid are really the only home run friendly ballparks, I would say, for me, as opposed to Yankees. You get to go into Toronto, good place to hit.
Yeah.
Baltimore's a great place to hit.
Fenway. Excellent point. The Astros have hit 101 homers at Minute Maid. The Yankees have hit 89 at Yankee Stadium. Line to right field, headed for that deep part of right field. It bangs off the wall. Rasmus plays it, fires into second. A long single for Beltran. Gets McCann to third. First and third, nobody out.
There's a low taser out there to right field. Got around that breaking ball. And as a hitter, you have time to recognize and get around like that. And when you're a Yankee hitting at home here at Yankee Stadium, you're going to try and hook balls like this because of that short porch in right field. Just didn't get it elevated enough. And that's a good thing. Keep that ball in the ballpark.
Infield shifted around. Yankees 0 for 3 with runners in scoring position. Bird is 0 for 2. Oh, that's a big call because it goes against Feldman. Ball went inside.
Ooh. That was one Scott would like to have back, or at least get called.
Now the infielders are moving in close. It's 2-0. Correa was moving in right before that pitch. Now the umpire's going to move Sam Holbrook to the shortstop side of the bag. Ground ball foul. Makes it 2-1. This is game number 126 for the Astros. The Angels have played 124. The Rangers 123. Oliver Perez in the bullpen for Houston. And you saw those off days coming up in September on that schedule for the Astros. Some of these other teams behind them will be playing on those dates. The 2-1 pitch is rolled to first, foul off his leg. 2-2.
Yeah, as a hitter early on in the count, you can take those cutters on that inside corner like we saw from Greg Bird, but that's the same pitch. It was called a ball early in the game, but with 2 strikes, a runner at third base, you really can't take that chance. You want to try and put that ball in play because you don't want to put it in the hands of the umpire. Sometimes if they have the chance to ring you up, they're going to do it. It does look good on the resume too when you go down looking with a runner at third.
He went down swinging. 5th strikeout for Feldman, very big. Now it's Headley. Headley's 0 for 2.
Not where he wanted it, but still good enough movement on that pitch to get the swing and miss.
Headley's put the ball in the air both times, to left field and to center. Gregorius on deck. Now a double play gets Feldman out of the inning. Gomez over to left center with a catch. Here's the tag. McCann coming to the plate. And the throw trickles in. Conger with a tag. They got him. Tremendous play by Conger on the throw from Gomez. What a time for a double play to end the inning. How'd you like that one, Blummer?
That was absolutely gorgeous. What a play on both ends. Gomez getting himself in a good position to throw. Wasn't the greatest throw, but knowing that McCann was at third base, Conger held his ground long enough to make that catch, which wasn't easy on that ground ball to home. It makes a great tag holding on to the ball.
No score after 7.
Gonzalez, who's been a hero for this club lately. Yesterday, though, he went 1 for 4 with that 9th inning game-tying RBI single. So he tied it up there, and then the Astros go on to win after Jason Castro. But Marlon Gonzalez, who had a great homestand, he's really come up huge for this team, playing in all different positions. We've seen him out in left here lately, helping out really now that Preston Tucker is down as well. But what impressed A.J. Hinch about that big at-bat, that big hit we were just talking about, was the fact that he had struck out 3 times prior. Mentally puts that away, doesn't let it carry over, and then comes up with a big hit for the team, guys.
He's 0 for 3 as the 8th inning opens with strike 1. That's the 89th pitch for Eovaldi. 97 pitches have come from Scott Feldman's right hand. Correa and Rasmus to follow. What a tremendous double play. He chased that one. No balls, 2 strikes. Probably the biggest double play of the year for the Astros. Gomez had to run several steps to get to that ball, and then the throw came in, and Carter was able to feel that ball as it rolled in toward him. Tapped the shortstop, Didi Gregorius. 1 out. Now the Astros try to find a way to score.
Saw Gomez get in good position, and I question McCann going also. That wasn't a deep fly ball. Gomez has got good footwork getting into that position. But this late in the game, you almost have to force the issue and make the defense make a play. But the Astros defense all year long has been playing extremely well.
Big play by Gomez. Carlos Correa fouls it. There's strike 1 on Carlos. He is 2 for 3. 2 singles to right field and then a ground ball up the middle. Stephen Drew made a good play to get him there. It's 1-1. Nate Eovaldi has the best winning percentage in the major leagues. .867 with a 13-2 record. Time called, and Correa steps away with a 1-1 count. Ivan Nova is up tomorrow for the Yankees against Dallas Keuchel. One and 2. Dandy game tonight. Eovaldi's allowed 3 runs or less in 10 of his last 11 starts. Close one called, a ball, and it's 2-2.
Well, this game's playing right into the wheelhouse for the Houston Astros. They like keeping it tight until late and then a dramatic finish. Isn't that how it goes?
That's the script. Paid attendance 37,125. Now 3-2. It's a little different on the road.
Yeah, it really seems that the Astros thrive knowing they have that last at bat and they're able to just walk it off.
They've been able to do that so well. They've had 7 walk-off wins, but 14 wins in their final at bat, so they've had some last at bat wins on the road too.
There's a large part of the season we talked about how well they scored runs from the 7th inning on.
Bounce to third. Headley throws it away. Correa heads for second base. Stephen Drew running for it. He is stopped there by Gary Pettis on the overthrow by Headley. That is the 20th error for Chase Headley. And he had time.
Wow, did he? You probably wouldn't think it would be a big deal, but in a game this close, this late in the game, these are where mistakes come back to haunt you a little bit. He threw him into scoring position. Now a base hit gives the Astros the lead.
Should Greg Bird have come off the base to take that throw instead of trying to stretch?
For me, it's a tough call at first base because you do want to get that out, and you really don't realize that you need to come off the bag until too late. Because the initial reaction is get that out. You're a big guy like Bird. Oh, I can stretch out and get this thing. But sometimes those throws can have some late life and just take off. In a perfect world, yes. Keep the runner at first base and keep that double play in order.
Colby Rasmus is 0 for 2 with a walk. Correa was looking at Gary Pettis for his instructions on whether to try for third or not. He got a stop sign at second. Well, that is so important for the base runner in that situation with the ball behind him there.
Yeah, third base coach is not an easy position on the field. More often than not, they get scrutinized for everything that goes wrong, not everything that goes right.
Well, another one in Oakland lost his job. Mike Gallego replaced by Ron Washington, former Rangers skipper. One and one to Colby Rasmus. Carlos Gomez on deck. Fouled. The Astros had a 0-0 game in Oakland, started by Dallas Keuchel against Scott Kazmir, April 24th. 0-0 after 9, and they won it 5-4 in the 11th. Bullpen phone is busy for the Yankees. Foul back. This stadium feels pretty much like Minute Maid as far as the energy in the ballpark tonight. From 37,125. Andrew Miller, the closer for the Yankees, is warming up. And he's warming up quickly. Rasmus stays alive at 1-2. Good
look at Gomez getting behind that. Wasn't the greatest throw, but the direction was good. The ball was low. That's what enabled Conger to make this play. But that was a heck of a play by Conger to make that play, make the catch, the tag. Bodies flying everywhere. Just waiting for that punch out. That's when you can let the emotion show.
102nd pitch coming from Eovaldi. Check swing call goes the Astros way by Tripp Gibson. It's 2-2.
Colby's had some good at bats here. Last couple of ABs against Eovaldi. Walked his last time up. A couple of good passes on pitches up in the zone off Eovaldi. It'd be nice if he could get a mistake right here and rake one into the outfield and create a score.
This will be his 7th pitch thrown by Eovaldi in this at bat. Turned back towards second.
We got lefty Andrew Miller out there in the Yankees bullpen. The only lefty coming up is Luis Valbuena after a couple hitters. But for me, Andrew Miller's not a guy that's a matchup guy. You can bring him in pretty much against anybody, and it's going to be a tough AB.
Fly ball to left. Gardner. 2 outs. And now it's Gomez. Gomez is 0 for 2 with a sacrifice bunt. In the 6th inning, the Astros got a Correa leadoff single, a Rasmus walk. Gomez bunted them to second and third. Gaddis hit a ground ball. Rasmus took off for third, which was occupied by Correa, and he was thrown out trying to get back to second. And Valbuena hit a fly ball to end the top of the inning. Now Gomez will have a shot at a 2-out RBI to give the Astros the lead. 3 for 8 in his career against this right-hander. And it's ball 1.
Carlos Gomez got a big play in this game defensively. He has a chance to make a big play on offense right here with 2 outs. He's got his best friend and Brian McCann behind home plate.
One at 100 miles per hour in the 8th inning at over 100 pitches for the night. He saved something.
Yeah, that wasn't the velocity. Well, that was the velocity, not the pitch count. My goodness.
One and 2.
That's just not fair, Brownie.
No. Crowd standing and a 1-2 count for Gomez. Took a nice healthy cut. That one caught a lot of the plate. Well, the previous pitch was unhittable, right?
Yeah. 100 on the outside black is tough. But he guessed right in that 2-strike count right there, fouled it off. Now, what did you earn yourself right here? He's got that split finger, but he's also got that turbo slider down and away.
Sure does.
But still has triple digit fastball.
Fly ball out to center field. Ellsbury. No runs, no hits, 1 error, 1 left, nothing in the 8th.
Box takes us inside the box score. On August 24th, 2010, the Astros needed 16 innings to beat the Phillies at Citizens Bank Park in a game that took 5 hours and 20 minutes to play. The game used 15 pitchers, 9 pinch hitters. Juan Rodriguez used as a pinch hitter, and Roy Oswalt making the final out of the game after playing left field for 2 innings. That was one of the few games I was glad just to be a pinch hitter in. Man, but me and Baggy, hitting coach at the time, we were sitting there ragging Roy Oswalt out there in left field. Those games get interesting when you go that long.
Scott Feldman deals their strike 1 on pitch number 98 of the night for Scott to Didi Gregorius. Gregorius 1 for 2. Evaldi has thrown 109 pitches, 71 of them strikes in this 0-0 game. 6 hits for the Yankees, 4 for the Astros. It's 0-2. The Astros have Gaddis, Valbuena, and Carter due up in the 9th inning. Andrew Miller has been warming up for the Yankees in their bullpen. The Astros have had warm-up action as well in theirs. Happy birthday wishes go out to Brian McTaggart of MLB.com. 1-2. Feldman has thrown as many as 113 pitches in a game this year. It's still a 1-ball, 2-strike count. Joe Spada, the third base coach, tosses that one up. The Mets lead the Phillies 11-7. They're in the top of the 6th in Philadelphia. Gregorius stays alive at 1-2. Drew is on deck, and then Ellsbury's due up third. Oliver Perez in the Astros pen. This is Joe Girardi's 8th year as the Yankees skipper. He had a .571 winning percentage coming into this season. He swung and he struck out. That's number 6. Julia Morales.
Hey guys, it's time to name that Astro. It's brought to you by your local Honda dealer. Here are your clues. We actually had a few of you get this right. Jim DeShays went to Des Moines College in Syracuse, so he didn't go to Syracuse. It was in Syracuse. He gave up Mike Smith's 548th and final home run, and he holds the major league record for most at-bats without an extra base hit. Chris Berman gave him the nickname Two Silhouettes on the Shades after the Ray song Silhouettes on the Shade. Apparently.
That's right. Thanks, Julia. There's ball 1. A lot of our Twitter followers got that right. Stephen Drew with an infield hit in the 3rd is 1 for 2. 2-0. JD did not ever have an extra base hit, but he sure hit a lot of foul balls in that third base dugout. Just screaming foul balls over there, Plummer.
I remember, I believe we actually may have had highlights of him doing that, and might have been the Dodgers waving white towels or something, going, you know, stop it. In the Astrodome, that was good times.
3-0, first 3-ball count for Feldman. And he follows it with a strike to Drew. Wilmer Flores has hit a couple of homers for the Mets tonight, giving him 14 this year. Into left center field for Carlos Gomez. 2 outs. What a night for both of these starting pitchers.
Yeah, it's been strong to quite strong.
Feldman allowed leadoff singles in the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th innings, then another one in the 7th. Yankees had 1st and 3rd, nobody out in the 7th. He struck out Bird, got Headley on the fly ball, and then it turned into a double play when Gomez threw to Conger for the tag on McCann. Ellsbury's 0 for 3. Top 3 hitters a collective 0 for 9 without reaching base. And it's ball 1. Gomez back into left center field to send this game to the 9th, scoreless.
AT&T call to the bullpen. It is going to be Andrew Miller, tall lefty for these New York Yankees. Closer for the Yankees, 27 saves out of 28 opportunities. ERA at 2.03. He's only given up 3 home runs in those 44 1/3 innings pitched. This is not a comfortable at bat against this guy.
Well, as you can tell from those numbers, very dynamic. 152 the batting average against him. Just 24 hits allowed in 44 1/3 innings. Definitely not. Evan Gattis leads it off in the Astros' 9th. Nate Eovaldi with a brilliant evening of 8 innings of 4-hit shutout ball. Walked 3, fanned 7 through 109 pitches, 71 strikes. Gattis is 1 for 3. He singled in the 2nd inning. Valbuena is on deck. Carter due up 3rd. A slider for ball 1. Miller did not face the Astros when the Yankees were in Houston for that 4-game series in June. Miller's 30 years old. He signed as a free agent, a very lucrative deal over the winter with the Yankees. 4 years, $36 million. That slider comes in and it's 1-1. Miller had been a first-round draft choice of Detroit in 06. He was the 6th player drafted. Came to the Tigers in 06. And he was a starting pitcher primarily in the beginning, but made that transition to relief with Boston. Brings that one in, and it's 1-2.
He really just has 2 pitches. That fastball in the mid-90s, the slider. Right-handers hitting a $124 off him. Lefties hitting 276.
That's hard to believe.
That is just odd, isn't it?
Yeah. In 08, he started a game against the Astros against Brandon Backey. He lost that game at Houston. He gave up 8 hits and 5 runs in 5 innings. Lance Berkman hit a 2-run homer off him.
Who hasn't Lance hit a 2-run jack off of? Guy.
Jim Deshaies.
Yeah, good call. Evan Gattis just gave us his best Jim Deshaies effort. That foul ball into the dugout.
2-2. Andrew Miller was a setup man. Last year he had 22 holes, only 1 save in 2 opportunities. For his career, he had 1 save in 3 opportunities before joining the Yankees as their closer. Now it's 3-2, and the fans are a little bit restless that this count has gone full on Gattis. Miller made his 44th appearance Saturday in the win against Cleveland. He worked a scoreless 9th. Gardner, Rodriguez, and McCann are due up in the bottom of the 9th for New York. Liner to left, in for a hit for Gattis. Gardner comes over. Gattis has a leadoff single. He really worked that at bat.
Laid off some tough pitches and really went down and got it. That pitch is borderline off the dirt right there, but we've seen in pretty expansive coverage of the strike zone from Evan Gattis. He's got home runs, triples up around his neck. Now he goes down to the shoe tops for a base hit.
Jake Marisnick pinch runs for him at first. Gattis 2 for 4 tonight. The Astros have the leadoff man on for the 3rd time in an inning tonight. Now Valbuena could be bunting here against the lefty. No sign of it there as it's ball 1 outside. Valbuena has a single and a walk in 3 trips tonight. Chris Carter's on deck. Well, Marisnick is a good base stealer. 17 steals in 22 tries. And he draws the throw. And for a strike, 1-1. Marisnick took a couple of steps towards second and stopped. Can they make it another last at bat win tonight? They have 14 of those this year. 1-2 to Valbuena.
Good slide step, good slider. Saw Marisnick take off a couple pitches before trying to get a jump on Miller, but it's pretty quick to home plate right there.
Trey Hillman, the bench coach, and A.J. Hinch hoping Valbuena can reach. Yankees have 6 hits, the Astros with 5. It's 2-2. Still no extra base hits in this game. Now it's a full count for the second straight batter.
The at-bats for me from the Astros offense in recent weeks and maybe in the last month have been extremely good. Very patient. It almost seems that they're getting better later in games off some of these guys because these are tough ABs getting this deep against a guy like Miller.
Runner goes, swing and a miss. The throw, double play. Marisnick is not leaving second base. McCann made the throw, and the call was out on a strikeout throwout double play. It might be appealed.
McCann's been having some pretty good success recently throwing out base runners, but right here this would be a big double play. Marisnick's a big guy, about 6'5". He might have gotten that hand in there.
Maybe. Gregorius with the tag.
But they're going to let the call stand. Ooh.
A 30th of a second, we're told.
Not enough to overturn it for you, Brownie?
Probably not. Caught stealing from 2 to 6. Now 2 outs. Chris Carter bats. He's 0 for 3. So very close, though. There's strike 1. Fine throw by McCann. He's now thrown out 6 of the last 8. Infield shifts around. Conger's on deck. Oh, 2. One ball, 2 strikes. Carter, now they call him for a swing. Eric Cooper, the first base umpire, said he swung, and that's a strikeout to end the top of the 9th inning. It was a close one, but it went the Yankees' way, and it's 0-0 heading to the bottom of the 9th. presented by Southwest Airlines. Book your low fare now at southwest.com. And by Jack in the Box. For a limited time, try the new Portobello Mushroom Buttery Jack with melted garlic herb butter. 0-0 going to the bottom of the ninth here at Yankee Stadium. The Astros have been out hit by the Yankees 6-5. Still, all the hits in this game have been singles. Scott Feldman was magnificent tonight.
It really was. He had all of those pitches working, the fastball, the cutter, the curveball. Was able to locate quite well and able to set these guys up extremely well, leading to 6 of those strikeouts. 8 innings pitched. Best number on there is in that BB department. No walks. Aggressive in the zone, making these Yankee hitters swing the bats, and then he got a little help on the defensive side when Gomez threw out McCann at home plate too.
Now the bottom of the ninth inning will bring Gardner, Rodriguez, and McCann to the plate. Left-handed, right-handed, left-handed hitters. So Perez is the call. In 53 games, he's 2-1 with a 2.78 ERA. Lefties are hitting 188 against him. That's the reason for that selection. Gardner is 0 for 3. Valbuena's in tight on the grass at third. Carter in close at first. That's ball one. Gardner has been known to bunt his way on. In Perez's career against the Yankees, he's 6-1 with a 2.22 ERA for 14 games. Slider goes for ball 2. Perez has had a few days off since he last worked. It was in the Tampa Bay series. Now 3 balls, no strikes. He pitched in the game Wednesday night. The Astros won it in the 13th, 3-2. Strike makes it 3-1 to Gardner. Perez has not given up an earned run in any of his outings with the Astros. There have been 5 of them. That ball 4, leadoff walk to Gardner.
Tomorrow's pitching matchup is presented by Chevron. Care for your car. The ace, Dallas Keuchel, going for the Houston Astros against Ivan Nova. Should be a good matchup, but I'm sure Dallas Keuchel is relishing the opportunity to pitch on a big stage like New York. Continuing to put up fantastic numbers and lead the way for these Houston Astros.
Pitching coach Brent Strom is at the mound talking things over with Conger and Perez. Gardner has 18 steals in 23 tries. Rodriguez is 0 for 3 tonight. Alex with 9 career walk-off homers. None since 2009. He has not had a sacrifice bunt since 1999.
I'd pay money to see that right now.
Yeah. Lefty hitting Brian McCann is on deck.
A-Rod is the only true right-handed hitter in this lineup. Everybody else is left-handed or switch hits.
Fouls it back, strike 1. And the man with 680 long balls could have won it right there had he connected solidly. Scott Feldman in 8 innings allowed 6 hits, no runs, did not walk anybody, struck out 6 through 110 pitches. This one gets by the catcher Conger. Gardner moves to second on the wild pitch.
almost looked as if Perez dropped down on that one. Got away from him.
That's his third wild pitch of the year. Now 1-1 with first base open. Yankees have 2 walk-off wins this season. Now they'll put him on now that first base is open. And they will choose not to pitch to Alex Rodriguez. But McCann will be batting with runners at first and second and nobody out.
Stay tuned after the game as Bart Ennis and Mike Stanton break down all the action from today's game, plus interviews from the clubhouse and much more on the Astros postgame show presented by Houston Methodist.
Pretty conventional move here once the runner went to second, Blummer.
Yeah.
Not pitching to Alex Rodriguez.
Well, especially with this matchup, Perez average against him, as if you're a right-handed hitter, is 300. Put him on first base. McCann doesn't run all that well. Increase your chances for the triple play or double play.
Yeah. Well, you're thinking positively. McCann is 3 for 3. McCann has the Yankees' only walk-off homer this year. July 3rd against the Rays. Joe Espada, the third base coach, getting Gardner's attention at second now. Carlos Beltran is on deck. Ball 1. McCann is hitting .250 against left-handed pitching with a .455 slugging percentage. That comes in for a strike, and it's 1-1. Two balls and a strike, and now Conger goes out.
Watch every out-of-market game live or on demand in True HD on over 400 devices with MLB.TV Premium. Real-time highlights, live look-ins, pitch tracking, and more. Blackout and other restrictions apply. Visit MLB.TV for details.
To McCann. He walked him and the bases are loaded with no outs. Julia.
Thank one lucky fan by giving them a better view of the game with a new 40-inch HD TV. Just follow us on Twitter at Root Sports Southwest or SW now through August 31st and look for your chance to win. Visit rootsports.com for official rules. Make sure to follow us right there, and then of course we'll be tweeting about the game and reactions from the clubhouse as well. Guys, up to you.
Oliver Perez comes out of the game. Alex Rodriguez also has walked in from second, maybe not to be replaced. We'll see. But there will be a break while the Astros call on their bullpen, and Chad Qualls is on his way in from that pen. Bases loaded, nobody out, no score. Bottom of the 9th inning. Back in a moment. 0-0. Bottom of the ninth. Bases loaded. Nobody out. And Chad Qualls is the one who draws that assignment.
Toughest assignment in baseball right now. 6 all time on that Astros appearance list. Does a good job of getting ground balls. What you need right now is a ground ball to one of the corner infielders able to throw it home. Start that double play with that lead runner at home plate.
Infielders in close. The outfielders have to move in as well to be able to make a throw to the plate. With the speedy runner at third, Gardner. Mark Teixeira on deck. Carlos Beltran, the batter. He is 1 for 3. Fly ball out to center field. Should win it. Gomez back for the catch. Gardner will tag and waltz home, and the Yankees win it 1-0 in the bottom of the ninth. Beltran gets his 47th run batted in, and the former Astro is able to get that ball deep into center field to score Gardner. Well, the Yankees capitalizing on the 3 consecutive walks from Oliver Perez, who takes the loss, win the opener of this series 1-0.